If you are wondering how to organize the money, then today's video is for you. I'm going to share my own tips on how I organize my money. I am Tiffany Thomas, your wealth mentor, and I achieved financial freedom in my 30s and became a millionaire at 40. I'm here to help you do that even earlier and easier. So let's dive right in. How to organize money. All right, if you are ready to take control of your finances and actually get your money organized, then today's video is going to really help you do that. I'm going to share the strategies that I have used and that I currently use to help me become a millionaire and become financially free. And of course, I have saved the best for last, so make sure and stick around until the very end of the video. All right, the very first thing that I want to share with you is that I have set up a spending plan or a budget, but I like calling it a spending plan. It sounds a lot more fun. And I know this may sound boring, but I feel like it is one of the most helpful things that I have done, because when I have my spending plan set up, I know exactly how much money I have coming in and how much money is going out and where it is going out to. The way that I like to set up my spending plan is to have a Google Sheet. And then I also use a free app. It's called Empower. It used to be called Personal Capital. But you can hook all of your financial accounts to Empower, and it makes it really easy to see your full financial picture in one place. And if that is something you're interested in, I will leave my referral link below in the description. You can click on that and set up a free Empower account. But nonetheless, with Empower, you can hook your checking, your savings, your credit cards, your mortgage, your retirement accounts. You can even put in the value of your home and the value of your car and any other assets that you have. So everything financial you can hook to Empower, and that way you can see your full financial picture very quickly in one place. And honestly, I check this pretty much every day just to make sure that things are in order. And I also like seeing my net worth go up. So at the top of the Empower app, it shows your net worth. So it makes it really easy to track your net worth over time. When I was first doing this, I hooked all of my accounts to Empower, and then I would update the categories for each transaction that I had. For example, I had rental income from multiple properties. So I just had rental income 1 from my first property and then rental income 2. And I just made it so the categories would work for me. And then I also created different categories for spending items. For example, I just lumped together eating out or going to the movies or to a play, things like that. I just lump those into one category. I call it fun stuff. And then I also have a category for miscellaneous items. If there is a repair that I have to do on my property, on my own property, I have separate expenses for my rental properties. And then I also put, if I have to do a repair on my car, that goes under my miscellaneous expense category as well. And then I do have my other fixed expenses broken out. So I'll have my phone bill separate and my car insurance separate, my home insurance. And I will lump together my utilities, so my water and sewer, which is actually already together. But I'll also put in there my power bill and my gas bill and my internet bill. So you can just set up your own categories on what is going to work for you, because we don't want to have 100 different categories. That seems overwhelming to me. I have maybe 15 categories. I haven't counted them before, but just set up the categories that are going to work best for you so that you can see where you are spending your money, and then you can make adjustments. Because when we set up our spending plan, we want to look at our spending plan. I update mine once a month on the 25th of the month. I just have a little reminder in my calendar on my phone, and every 25th I will update my spending plan. And then I will also take all of those items that are in Empower, all of the transactions, and then I will export them into my Google Sheet. And that way I can have kind of an overview tab. I can see my yearly amounts, and then I have separate tabs for each month. So I just take 1 month's expenses or income, export that into my Google Sheet for, let's say, the month of January. And then I'll do that for February, March, every single month. And then I have my yearly overview tab, which shows me the totals for everything. And that way I can see, oh, I've kind of been spending a lot of money on fun stuff, right? I've been going out to too many plays or things like that. Or I maybe overspent on my travel budget. But if I'm updating this once a month, I can see exactly where I am with my finances and I can make adjustments accordingly. So if I know that I've already spent the amount that I want to be spending on travel, then I'm not going to take any more trips for the rest of the year. And of course, you don't have to do it this way. If you want to write by pen and paper, you can definitely do that. Or if you just want to use the Google Sheet or even just the Empower app, however you want to do it. But just find a system that works for you so that you are updating your spending plan every single month at least, and that way you can see where you need to improve. If we aren't even looking at our finances, there is no way we are going to make improvements. Another way that I have organized my money is to have an auto transfer into my savings account. I did this when I had my 9-to-5 job. I had a certain percentage that I wanted put directly into savings, and then the rest of my paycheck went into checking. But that way I didn't have to think about making a transfer to my savings or worrying about spending all of the money that was in my checking and never having money in my savings. And I selected a very specific amount that I wanted to keep in my savings so that I wouldn't keep too much in my savings account. Before I was big into investing, I had way too much in my savings account. I just kept saving and I wasn't really saving for anything particular. But now I like investing my money as much as possible. So I like keeping as little as possible in my savings account. So determine how much ever you want to keep in your savings account. That can be for an emergency fund and any short-term goals that you might be saving for. I personally like using Ally to keep my savings in because they have a high interest rate on their savings account. Right now I'm earning 4% interest on my savings account. They also have separate buckets that you can create yourself. You can title them whatever you want to. For example, if you want to take a trip to Italy, you want to save up for that, you can create a bucket called Italy. And that way you can have an auto transfer or manually transfer money into your Italy bucket every single month and save up for your Italy trip. But it's also nice keeping my savings account, my emergency fund, at a separate bank from where I have my checking account that I use all the time. That way there's not a temptation for me to transfer money from my savings directly to my checking and then spend that money. There's kind of that extra step. It's at a separate account. So when I'm looking at my checking account, I'm not seeing my savings at Ally, unless of course I'm logged into the Empower app and then I see everything that I have in there. But it just builds a little bit of friction so that you're not tempted to spend what's in your savings if it is at a different bank than where you are using your checking account. And then since I am using my spending plan, I know exactly how much I have in my checking account and how much I have in my savings account. And that way I'm not overspending my money. It seems easy for a lot of people to just swipe the credit card and not even know if they have enough money to pay for whatever they are purchasing on their credit card, which is very scary to me. By keeping my money organized this way, by knowing exactly how much I have, then I'm not going to overspend. And I haven't. I've never paid credit card interest because I have my money set up in a way that I know how much I have and I'm not going to go over what I have. Another thing that I also like to do is to use my credit cards all of the time. I would rather use my credit card than my debit card for multiple reasons, and I actually go into detail in another video about this. I'll leave a link above. You can check it out later on. But essentially, I like earning those reward points on my credit card. And then also, if there is fraud that happens, it's going to happen on my credit card, and my credit card company will immediately take care of that fraud, and my money is not frozen. If I was using my debit card and whatever the fraud amount was for, then that money would already be out of my account, out of my checking account. But it's not that way with a credit card. Another thing that I do, and probably a lot of people don't do this, but I actually balance my checking account. I used to have a checkbook register, which my mom actually helped me learn how to balance my checkbook register. So I knew exactly how much I had in my checking, because the balance that shows in your checking account is not always the exact amount that you have, because there could be pending payments that are coming out that have not gone through yet. And so you're thinking you have more money in your checking, but when those payments go through, then your checking balance is going to drop. So now I use a Google Sheet and I have my checkbook register on there. and I keep track of all of my expenses. So every month when I'm updating my spending plan, I'm updating my checkbook register as well. And I put in all of the expenses that I know are going to come out. For example, my utilities, and I know what rental income is coming in, so I will put that in there as well. But that way I have an exact amount on how much will be in my checking account once all of my expenses go through. And then I look at that balance, and if I have over a certain amount, over the buffer amount that I like to keep in my checking, then I will transfer that money to Ally, and that way it's already transferred to my savings account, or I'll transfer it to my investment account, depending on if I'm saving for something or if I just want to be investing my money. But that way I have that buffer in my checking account, and that's it. And then everything else is earning a higher interest rate because it's in the savings at Ally, or it's actually invested in the stock market. And then another thing that I do is I have an auto transfer going to my investment account. So it automatically gets invested every single month. And then if I want to add more money to that, then I can, and I'll do it manually. So it makes investing really, really simple for me. And if you are thinking, Tiffany, I would really like to invest my money in the stock market and even automate it like you do, I have a free masterclass where I go over how I can help you invest in the stock market. I will leave a link below. You can click on that link and check out the free masterclass. And another thing that I've done to keep my money organized and keep my expenses low is to negotiate some of my bills or find someone else that has a lower price. For example, with my internet bill, I would have a promo rate for a while, and then when that would end, of course, the price would be higher. So I would call the internet company before that promo ended, and the way I knew it was ending is because I put it in my phone when I signed up for the promotion. I went out 12 months or whatever it was, and I put a reminder in my calendar, and I would have it remind me, 1 week ahead or 1 day ahead, whatever I needed. And that way I would know, okay, I need to call the internet company before my promo rate is up and negotiate a new rate. And honestly, I use my calendar for all sorts of things. I put reminders in there all of the time, especially with subscriptions. If I know I want to just keep a subscription for 1 month, especially with my business, there's things that I just want to use for a month, then I put a reminder in my calendar in my phone and before that 1 month is up so that I can call and cancel that. And then since I do have real estate properties, I have a separate Google Sheet for each property that I keep track of. And the reason I use Google Sheets, well, there's multiple reasons, but one main reason is that I have the app downloaded on my phone. So when I actually go over to the property and I make a repair, I can pull out my phone immediately and I can enter in my Google Sheet the date that I went over and the repair that I made, and then if I had to go to Home Depot and purchase something, the amount that it was, and the mileage. So I have it all right in my Google Sheet, and I just try to keep that updated as that expense is happening. And sometimes I forget, so on the 25th, when I'm updating my spending plan, then I can also update my Google Sheets for my rental properties. And that way I can send those Google Sheets to my accountant, and it makes it a lot easier rather than having to enter all of that information right before taxes are due. And then one other thing that I wanted to mention that is very important to me is to set a financial goal, something you are working toward. This has made a huge difference in my life. And I even add that goal to my spending plan. So it's a line item in there, and that way I can contribute a certain amount every month toward that goal. When I have something I'm working toward, then I am so much more focused on what I'm spending my money on, and I am less likely to just spend here and there and not really pay attention to my money. If I have that specific goal, for example, when I wanted to purchase another property, I wanted to save up the down payment for that property. And when I had that goal in my mind and also written down, I stopped spending money on things that weren't that important to me. I stopped spending money on clothing, and I spent less on eating out. Not that I spent a ton anyway, but I was so focused on that goal that every time a temptation came up to spend money, I would think, but that's taking away from my financial goal. That will just mean that it takes me longer to build up my down payment for the property. So I wouldn't spend the money unless it was super important to me. So those are just a few different ways that I organize my money. Comment below and tell me one way you've been able to organize your money that has made a difference for you. And if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and share it with someone else who would like to hear this information. And hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hit the little bell to get notified on when I post new videos. And if you want to see even more awesome content from me, make sure and check out the videos on the side of the screen. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.